तिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलम् श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सर्वगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिते नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशकालिने नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधाकांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरोर्भ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। We'll be chanting the verses of Nectar of Instruction. Vacho vegam manasah krodha vegam jiva vegam mudaro pascha vegam etan vegan yo vishahet dhiraha sarvang apimam prithivim sashishya अत्याहारः प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियम आग्रहः जनसङ्गश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति उत्साहानिश्चयात् धैर्यात् तत्तत् कर्म प्रवर्तनात् सङ्गत्यागात् सतो वृत्तेः षड्भिर्भक्तिर्प्रसिद्ध्यति ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति गुह्यमाख्याति पृच्छति भुङ्क्ते भोजयते चैव षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणम् कृष्णेति यस्य गिरितं मनसा द्रियेत दीक्षासि चेत् प्रणतिभिश्च भजन्तमीशम् शुश्रूषया भजनविज्ञमनन्यमन्या निन्दादिशून्यमृदम् ईप्सितसङ्गलब्ध्या दृष्टैः स्वभावजनितैर्वपुषश्च दोषैः न प्राकृतत्वमिह भक्तजनस्य पश्येत् गङ्गाम्बसाङ्ग खलु बुधबुधपेन पङ्केर्ब्रह्म द्रवत्वमपि गच्छति धीरधर्मैः स्यात् कृष्णनामचरितादिसिताप्यविद्याम् पित्तोपतप्तरसनस्य न रोचिकानु किन्त्वादरादनुदिनं खलु सैव जुष्टा स्वाद्विक्रमाद्भवति तद्गतमूलहन्त्री तन्नामरूपचरितादिसुकीर्तनानो स्मृत्यो क्रमेण रसना मनसि नियोज्य तिष्ठन् व्रजेत तदनुरागिजनानुगामी कालं नयत् अखिलमित्युपदेशसारम् वैकुण्ठाजनितो वरामधुपुरी तत् तत्रापि रात्सोत्सवान् वृन्दारण्यमुदारपाणिरमणात् तत्रापि गोवर्धनः राधाकुण्डमिहापि गोकुलपते प्रेमामृताप्लावनात् कुर्यात् अस्य विराजतो गिरितटे सेमां विवेकी न कः दृष्टै कर्मिभ्यः परितो हरे प्रियतया व्यक्तिं ययुर्ज्ञानिनस्तेभ्यो ज्ञानविमुक्तभक्तिपरमा प्रेमैकनिष्ठास्ततः तेभ्यस्तापशुपालपङ्कजदृशस्ताभ्योऽपि सा राधिका प्रेष्ठा तत्त्वदीयं तदीयसरसि तां नाश्रयेत् कः कृती कृष्णस्योच्चैः प्रणयवसतिः प्रेयसीभ्योऽपि राधा पुण्डं चास्यामुनिभिरपि तस्तादृगेव व्यथायि यत्पृष्ठेरप्यलमसुलभं किं पुनर्भक्तिभाजां तत्प्रेमेदं सकृदपि सरः स्नातुराविष्करोति. So we are discussing verse number 4 today. Six kinds of loving exchanges, also known as six kinds of association. In verse 1, Srila Rupa Goswami spoke about the importance of controlling mind and senses. So basically, the subject matter was explained in a way that we are supposed to engage our senses in Krishna Seva, dovetailing our senses. That's how we control the pushing of the senses, the urge, the vega, that you engage those in Krishna's service. And it was also mentioned that those who can control these urges, they can become instructors for the whole world. Uh, In the text too, six things were explained about which are supposed to be avoided, uh, or why they should be avoided, because those six things make it difficult for us to control our mind and senses. Atyahar, overeating or over collecting, over endeavor, greed. So all these things make it difficult for us to control our mind and senses. And then in text 3, six qualities were mentioned which make it easy to control the mind and senses: enthusiasm, patience, determination. Now, text 4 talks about association. First verse was also telling that a person who has controlled mind and senses can teach everyone, become guru for all. That means that person can give his or her association to everyone, right? In text 2, it was spoken about avoiding association with worldly minded people because that association destroys our devotional service. And text 3 was speaking about giving up materialistic association and taking the association of saintly personalities. Satto vrittehe. So text 4 defines association, describes association. What is association? So association means exchange. What kind of exchange? So he talks about three kinds of exchange: giving and taking of gifts, giving and taking of prasadam, and giving and taking of confidential discussion or talks or information. Mm. So these three things, give and take, that is association. So Prabhupada first of all talks about, in general, that these six kinds of dealings have to be between any two persons who want to be in a relationship. There's no possibility of relationship without these six exchanges. So he talks in general. And then it will be then brought to the realm of devotional service or devotee association. Hmm. That's how the whole purport is written. Translation of this verse. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad and offering prasad are the six symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. Dadati pratikrinati, guhyam akhyati prichati, bhunte bhojayate jaiva, shadvitam priti lakshanam. These are the lakshana or symptoms or characteristics of priti, love, shadvitam, six times. Huh? So we'll read the book. First paragraph. Yes, Neha Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami explains how to perform devotional activities in the association of other devotees. There are six kinds of activities. First, giving charity to the devotees. Second, accepting from the devotees whatever they may offer in return. Third, opening one's mind to the devotees. Fourth, inquiring from them about the confidential service of the Lord. Fifth, honoring prasad or spiritual food given by the devotees and feeding the devotees with prasad. An experienced devotee explains, and an inexperienced devotee learns from him. This is Guhyam Akhyati Prichati. When a devotee distributes prasad, remnants of food offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to maintain our spirit of devotional service, we must accept this prasad as the Lord's grace received through the pure devotees. We should also invite pure devotees to our home, offer them prasad, and be prepared to please them in all respects. This is called bhunte bhojayate chaiva. Even in ordinary social activities, these
Hare
six.
Krishna.
Hare
Just a
Krishna.
second. So here Srila Prabhupada begins with telling the importance of all three, Guhya Makhyati and Bhumte Bhojayata Chaiva. Is basically iteration of the same translation which was given above. That what are these six activities? Up to verse number 4 or 5, you'll see that the instructions given in Upadesh Amrita are general instructions applicable to anyone in this world because it talks about a general subject matter. Then from verse number 6 or text number 6, we start discussing more into uh, Gaudiya Siddhanta, Raga Nuga Bhakti, etc. So far it's pretty simple. Even, this verse which we are looking at now, it is also present as a Subhashita, verse in other literatures. And Rupa Goswami perhaps took it from there, that the six kind of dealings which are required for healthy association or a good relationship. So this is how it's mentioned. Now let's see here in the next paragraph what does Prabhupada say. Paramgati Prabhu. Okay.
Even even in ordinary social activities, these six types of dealings between two loving friends are absolutely necessary. For instance, when one businessman wishes to contact another businessman, he arranges a feast in a hotel and over the feast openly expresses what he wishes to do. He then inquires from his business friend how he should act, and sometimes presents are exchanged. Thus, whenever there is a dealing of preeti or love in intimate dealings, these six activities are executed. In the previous verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advised that one should renounce worldly association and keep company with the devotees. Sanga Tyagat Sato Vrittah. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness has been established to facilitate these six kinds of loving exchanges between devotees. This society was started single handedly, but because people are coming forward and dealing with the give and take policy, the society is now expanding all over the world. We are glad that people are donating very liberally to the development of the society's activities, and people are also eagerly accepting whatever humble contribution we are giving them in the shape of books and magazines dealing strictly with the subject matter of Krishna consciousness. We sometimes hold Hare Krishna festivals and invite life members and friends to participate in the feasting by accepting prasad. Although most of our members come from the higher rungs of society, they nonetheless come and take whatever little prasad we are able to offer them. Sometimes the members and supporters inquire very confidentially about the methods of performing devotional service, and we try to explain this. In this way, our society is successfully spreading all over the world, and the intelligentsia of all countries is gradually appreciating our Krishna conscious activities. The life of Krishna conscious society is nourished by these six types of loving exchange among the members. Therefore, people must be given the chance to associate with the devotees of iskcon. Because simply by reciprocating in the six ways mentioned above, an ordinary man can fully revive his dormant Krishna consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita 2.62, it is stated, Sangat sanjayate kamaha. One's desires and ambitions develop according to the company one keeps. It is often said that a man is known by his company, and if an ordinary man associates with devotees, he will certainly develop his dormant Krishna consciousness. The understanding of Krishna consciousness is innate in every living entity, and it is already developed to some extent when the living entity takes a human body. Shall I continue?
Thank you, Prabhu. Even in ordinary social activities, these six types of dealings between two loving friends are absolutely necessary. Mm. Prabhupada is giving an example of businessman meeting another businessman. They go for lunch in a hotel, and then over the lunch they discuss their business plans. Mm. So Srila Rupa Goswami advised that we should renounce worldly association and keep company with the devotees. And international society is established to facilitate these kinds of loving exchanges between devotees. Prabhupada is saying, I started this movement single-handedly, but because he very beautifully followed these principles, he was able to expand the movement to a society of thousands of people because of this give and take policy, right? Um, we saw that in the dealings of Srila Prabhupada. If you have read Leelamrita, you remember there's an incident mentioned there that when Prabhupada was in New York and he was trying to give out his books, Srimad Bhagavatam sets, to different avenues, one of the librarians there, not a librarian actually, a books, a bookstore run by a lady, she purchased some of the sets of Srila Prabhupada. And she said to Prabhupada, then I'll make the payment only when these sets get sold. I'll not make an advance payment. I'll, I'll keep these books with me and I'll pay when the books are sold. So Srila Prabhupada agreed to her proposal. At least she's ready to keep the books with her. And then he used to walk down to her shop every 15 days or a month, in a month, to check how many copies she has sold. And if she has sold some, then he would bring that money back home with him. So whenever he went to her to check if she has sold some copies, he used to personally make samosas for her and take for her. So what is that? The dati, to give, right? The principle of giving. And by that, following that principle, he was able to establish relationship with people. And then that's how, that association began, that society began. So this is what he explaining, that the society is based on give and take policy. And very important principles for us to learn that if we give, people will also give back. naturally, not something which is done to show that, okay, I'm donating huge amount of money and all that. No, which is done out of love. When people see that we are doing good work, then people will naturally join hands. So when people saw Prabhupada is doing good work, he has a strong purpose. So people volunteered to help him. And that's how the movement started. And that's how the movement started in any country, in any continent. Of course, nowadays, iskcon's policy of running the institute has become very commercial, quite different from it was during the times of Srila Prabhupada. But and for whatever reason, but the system through which Prabhupada started this movement was different. Mm. Now we depend on CSR, corporate fund, and all that stuff, and we try to get people who are very rich. They have earned their money through all sinful ways, and then they give some big chunk of donation to the temple or to the project, and then that's how the project gets its uh, funds. But Prabhupada did not start the movement like that. That find someone who is very wealthy and he's giving you a lot of money and then you start. No, he started with ground level people who hardly had enough salaries, and they chipped in whatever little they earned. They shared with Prabhupada. Okay, I give you this much little, I give you that little, and that's how he started. And it started growing, in that way. So, how he could do it? He could do it because of investing in relationship, investing in people. Hmm. So he said that is association. The Dadati Prati Grinati. Hmm. Very important principle, because I also realize this, that even if you are, let's say, chanting 16 rounds a day, honoring only Krishna Prasadam 3 times a day, also hearing lectures, reading your scriptures every day, still the nourishment of Krishna consciousness will not be so much if we don't practically follow the principle of giving out to others in whatever way, some seva, something. You have to give, and then you have to also accept. Such dealings or reciprocal dealings, they nourish the heart, not the mechanical process of just engaging in one sadhana. You know, one can just engage in sadhana, but that will not nourish the heart until unless there is tangible contribution, give and take with the devotees. Because finally, what is the sadhana for? The sadhana is for seva. If there is no seva, what is the purpose of sadhana? Sadhana is to prepare us to do seva. If we do sadhana, but if we don't do seva, then we are not achieving anything, because ultimately we are supposed to serve. Mm. Correct? And in at higher realms of devotional practice, sadhana itself becomes the seva, because by that sadhana itself you are so much in seva bhav or service attitude, that every single name of Krishna you are taking, it is a seva to Krishna, right? Every single thing you are doing, it's a service to the other person, other Vaishnava or Acharya or Supreme Lord Himself. But at initial stage of our Krishna conscious practices, we have these two concepts which may not overlap. One is sadhana and the other is seva. So sadhana is for uh, like, for example, if there's a machine and that machine is old, rusted, so you need to oil the machine before the machine can start working. If you don't oil the machine does not work. So the sadhana we do is like oiling. Oiling what? Oiling our consciousness, oiling our system, oiling our attitude. And then with that, work on ourselves. I am doing something for the devotees, for the spiritual master, for the Supreme Lord. The dadati, you give, you give. Yeah. And then you take in return whatever is given by other Vaishnavas, except Dadati Pratigrinati, the concept of give and take. Very important. Right? So Prabhupada in the whole paragraph he explains how we share knowledge and then people inquire, you know. Uh, he started the life membership program. So there also the whole idea was they give us some Lakshmi and we give them books, we give them Back to God and magazine, we give them a facility to come to our temple and stay. Now you see how by the influence of time, no, the whole purpose of the activity changes. It's very important. Prabhupada started life membership program with a vision. What was that vision? What was the vision of life membership program? What was the vision?
Give and take.
Don't use my words. Think about it and then speak. What could be the vision of starting a life membership program, Vaishnav?
At least engaging them in the services, Krishna,
Only
and
only
utilizing that.
only take some money from them and engage that money in Krishna Seva. That was the only program. The reason for starting
No,
life membership.
they also get purified in the
That's okay. They
pure.
get right. But then they could have given Lakshmi in some other ways also, no? If it's all about getting some donation, then you can get donation in many ways. Why get it through life membership program?
So that they can have a sense of connection to the temple for the life.
Think about
Yeah.
it little bit. Why? Like you see, at present, I'll tell you something. What is the fee that you need to pay to become a life member in iskcon? It's around 40,000, 50,000, something like that. Hmm? So there are many devotees, there are many people out there, uh, they will donate more than the fee for life membership program sometimes. And they don't even want to become a life member many times. They say, it's okay, fine, take 2 lakhs, take 5 lakhs, take 1 million, whatever, right? So they give us money. Why Prabhupada started this program? Was it just for money?
To develop the temple.
Association.
To develop the
You
temple.
know, no. Life membership program is not a money making scheme where you annually get money from them. It's not like, for example, in a mobile phone, if you buy some service, it has a subscription method that every year you need to pay. So life membership is nothing like that, that every year you have to pay 40,000, 40,000. Then it's a very nice money making scheme that, that you can every year get 40,000 rupees. It's like a one-time donation. And then, uh, you get some facilities from us. So why was it? Why was that started by Prabhupada? Think about it nicely. You see, in those days, in
I, I think that no,
connected.
the senior devotees, and then when they are getting old and they can be taken care of by iskcon. Also, the new generations, they can associate with the senior devotee and learn from them. Hare
No. So Prabhupada started life membership program because, first of all, in those days, people who were businessmen, hmm, they when they traveled for business purposes, right? There was a custom that hotels were not that common those days. The way hotels are available these days, hotels were not so common those days. So people either spend their time living at an acquaintance house, or they would sleep over at someone's place with whom they had professional contact. you know that's how people manage to manage their accommodation. Hotels and lodges and guest houses were not common, or they would stay at dharamshala and all that stuff. So Prabhupada he started this program that it is very it's a very it lucrative offer that, okay, if I'm a businessman and in a year I travel to 12 cities, and if I buy this life membership program and ISKCON has centers in these 12 cities and they have a guest house, so I'll get a very nominal stay in those cities for 3 days. Generally, businessmen, if they go travel to a city, they don't travel for 10 days, 15 days. They go for a day or 2 days or 3 days. So, okay, if you want to stay 3 days, you can stay in our temple. We will not charge much from you, and you will get prasadam food also there. So it's a very nice offer for people. But the one of the reasons for Prabhupada to do all that was when they come to the temple, they will take darshan of the Lord. When they come to the temple, they 3 times they will honor Krishna Prasada. When they come to the temple, whole 24 hours they will not be busy doing their business, no? Sometimes they'll be free also. So they may sit in the class, hear some class. They may go through our literature. Some devotee may start talking to them. So it was basically opening up an avenue to make a relationship with them and bring them to some form of Krishna consciousness. That's how the whole thing was designed or thought of. Life membership was a way to bring people to the temple, give them a facility to stay. Because if you stay in the temple and luckily enough you get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, what will you do? You can go to the Mangala Aarti and attend it. Right? So it was done with all that thought. But at present, what is life membership? Oh, we need to run the temple, so we need some money. Let's go out, make some members. But it was not started with that purpose. So down the line, in 50 years, the vision has changed. The purpose is lost. And why the purpose is lost? Because the founder Acharya started the whole scheme with a certain purpose. And the present day leaders or authorities or managers, perhaps they don't see that purpose. What they see is it's a good money making scheme. It's a good way to get some donation. That's the only purpose they see. But Prabhupada saw it differently. That a gentleman will come to our temple, will stay for 3 days, and that person may get attracted to Krishna consciousness looking at our activities. So, dadati pratigrihnati, guhyamakhyati prichati. Now, in the whole setup done by Srila Prabhupada, his idea was not to take. His idea was actually to give. And in return, take something. At present, the way iskcon functions many a times is the idea is not to give. The idea is to take. It's not to give, it's to take. And that's why, we miss out on the main purpose, why it was started, why it was started. Miss out on the main purpose, why it was started. So that's very important. Shiva says that we started life membership program was started, and this is an opportunity. ISKCON is made as a place where people get an opportunity to learn about Krishna, revive one's dormant Krishna consciousness. Correct? When Srila Prabhupada left this world, there was a strong vacuum in the whole society. And many devotees, they started moving out of ISKCON and associating with sadhus outside ISKCON. Many people left ISKCON during those days. At present, also many people leave ISKCON. It's just that in those days it got noticed. Nowadays it doesn't get noticed. But in those days, devotees left. They thought there is some association better outside than in ISKCON and things like that. But Prabhupada says here that even if you want to advance in Krishna consciousness, the ISKCON society has been made for you to get good association and make the progress. Right? So now how do we associate with devotees in iskcon? So last time I was talking to you from this book written by Hanumat Prekshak Swami Maharaj, Hanumat Preshak Swami Maharaj, study guide on Upadeshamrita. He gives a very good uh, explanation. He says that the gopis in Vrindavan, they lived in Vrindavan, in Braja, in in a way that they had relationship at three levels. And this is very interesting uh, comparison that Maharaj is making. So he's saying, you see, think about it very nicely. The gopis are living in Braja. What is Braja? Braja is a kingdom of a king who is from cowherd community, right? Hmm. So they are living in a kingdom, which means what? They have a king and a queen, and that king's name is Nanda, and that queen's name is Yashoda. So they're living in the village of Nanda and Yashoda. Because they're living in that village, they are supposed to be good citizens of the village. So they have to follow all the rules made by the king. They have to act as servant of the king and the queen, isn't it? So what they do? They pay taxes, they do their duties, social responsibilities, or whatever a citizen is supposed to do. Hmm. So now let's compare that Vraja to iskcon. So Maharaj says, just like the gopis in Vrindavan are citizens of Vrindavan or Vraj, and they are supposed to follow the rules made by the king of Vraj. Similarly, we in iskcon as individual members, we can say that we are in some way the citizen here in this institute. And therefore, we are supposed to follow the rules of the institute. Give respect, follow instructions, code of conduct, right? Then the next is, though the gopis, they lived in Raj and they followed the rules made by Nanda and Yashoda, they were good citizens. It doesn't mean that in Braj they were talking to every single person living in Braj. They had their own circle of like-minded friends. So similarly, he says in iskcon also, though there are so many devotees, you cannot associate with all. You need to have your own circle of friends, devotional, devotee friends, right? And then the third is, this is very interesting. So he says like there is an institutional identity you have, then there is a friendship circle you have in the society. But is that all? Is that all? Is that all? Then the third thing he says, why are the gopis living in Vrindavan? Why are the gopis living in Braj? Just because they want to live in a nice kingdom and they want to have a nice group of people around them? No, they are living in Vraj and they are living in that circle of friends because all that facilitates to have a relationship with Krishna. So then he says the third thing is you are a good member of iskcon. You also have a lot of devotee friends in iskcon. But the third thing is you should also have an individual personal relationship with Krishna. You should also have a personal feeling of, relationship or connection with Srila Prabhupada. And that's how a devotee's existence within the institute is completely seen at these three levels. At these three levels. So we have to take association in all these three ways. Being in the movement in the institute, we have to know about how to associate with devotees at institutional level. Then we also have to learn how to associate with devotees for personal spiritual growth. And we also have to associate with pure devotees of Krishna and also with Krishna for our spiritual nourishment. So these 6 principles of association, they apply at all levels. These 6 principles apply in our dealings with Krishna. These 6 principles apply in our dealings with spiritual master. These 6 principles also apply in our dealings with other devotees. Dadati pratikrinnati guhyamakhyato tikshati bhunte bhojayate chaiva shadvidham priti lakshanam. Right? And Prabhupada says, Sangat sanjayate kamaha. One's desires and ambitions develop according to the company that we keep. Means based on our association, we develop desires and ambitions. Fine. Now, how we can or why we can develop Krishna consciousness through good association? Because we all are devotees naturally. By nature, the jiva is a devotee of Krishna. It's dormant in the jiva's heart, right? Therefore, then Prabhupada explains here. In the first stanza, it is said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kapunoy Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Korai Udoy. Pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of living entities. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, the living entity naturally awakens. Since Krishna consciousness is inherent in every living entity, everyone should be given a chance to hear about Krishna. Simply by hearing and chanting, Shravanam Kirtanam, one's heart is directly purified. And one's original Krishna consciousness is immediately awakened. So that's the main purpose of the society, to facilitate hearing and chanting. That's the main purpose. Everything is for that purpose, hearing and chanting about Krishna. The purpose is not Govinda's restaurant. The purpose is not guest house. The purpose is not an attractive, expensive temple where you can where you can click selfies. The purpose is not all that. The purpose is a place where one can hear about Krishna and chant about Krishna. That is the purpose. And that is the purpose of any Sangha. If we are coming for devotee Sangha, but in that devotee Sangha, the focus is not on hearing and chanting, then that Sangha will lose its value soon, lose its purpose soon. It is for hearing and chanting. It's very important. Like sometimes I saw that devotees do come together, but then it's all about coming together to eat prasadam. And then they call it as Sangha. It's not Sangha. How can it be Sangha? It's, of course, Prasadam is a part of the Sangha. But why Prasadam? Because you have already spent 2 hours, 3 hours hearing and chanting about Krishna, and now you're so happy you want to celebrate that by honoring Prasadam. Not that just come together and sit and just eat or chat or gossip or do whatever. And then it is Sangha. It's not Sangha. One has to hear and chant about Krishna. Right? That's the main purpose. So the more hearing and chanting of Krishna, pure hearing and chanting is propagated, the more the association will make the devotee strong in the Krishna consciousness. The more devotees will become strong in Krishna consciousness. Very important. How interesting it is that you see the amount of knowledge that is available to devotees in Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara is phenomenal. But the amount of time we spend in discussing Harikatha is so less, isn't it? So less. But it should be very much. prominent part of the whole movement, Shravan and Kirtana. Very much prominent part of the movement, Shravan and Kirtana. Everything is Shravan and Kirtana. Distribution of book is what? It is Kirtan only, isn't it? Everything is Shravan and Kirtana. So for that, the institute exists, and for that, any devotional association exists. Otherwise, no point. One's heart is directly purified, and one's original Krishna consciousness is immediately uh, immediately awakened. Krishna consciousness is not artificially imposed upon the heart, it is already there. When one chants the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the heart is cleansed of all mundane contamination. In the first stanza of his Sri Shikshashtaka, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto darpanamarjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam Shreyah kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadhu jivanam Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamrita swadanam Sarvatma snapanam param vichayate Shri Krishna Sankirtan. So what does Sankirtan do? It purifies the heart. It purifies the heart. That's what Sankirtan does. Many times devotees do complain, we don't get good association. And it might be true that it's difficult to get good association of sadhus because, they are not always around us. But that's why Prabhupada has left books. That's why acharyas have written so many books. That if we cannot get association always to be, physically around a sadhu and hear from a sadhu, then we can associate with them through the books, through the literatures, through the recordings, through the tapes. Why is it? It is for that purpose only. That you associate with them through that. There's immense potency in the transcendental sound vibration. And one has to associate with that sound vibration. So that's why it is there. And that will purify the heart. Purifies them. All glories to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is a prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Dadati means to give, right? So one can also give the holy name. Therefore, then in the next paragraph, Prabhupada talks about spreading the holy name, giving out the holy name. That is also giving. And that's the best thing we can give to someone. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave that to the world. Acharyas gave that. So Prabhupada talks about that. Let's read Nagarajan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dhanavad Pranam. Not only is the chanter of Mahamantra purified, but the heart of anyone who happens to hear the transcendental vibration of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare is also cleansed. Even the souls embodied in lower animals, insects, trees, and other species of life also become purified and prepared to become fully Krishna conscious simply by hearing the transcendental vibration. This was explained by Thakura Haridasa when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from him how living entities lower than human beings can be delivered from the material bondage. Haridasa Thakura said that the chanting of the holy names is so powerful that even one chants in the remotest parts of the jungle, the trees and animals will advance in Krishna consciousness simply by hearing the vibration. This was actually proved by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself when he passed through the forest of Jharkhand. At that time, the tiger, snake, deer, and all other animals abandoned their natural animosity and began chanting and dancing in Sankirtana. Of course, we cannot imitate the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but we should follow in his footsteps. We are not powerful enough to enchant the lower animals such as tigers, snakes, cats, and dogs or entice them to dance, but by chanting the holy names of the Lord, we can actually convert many people throughout the world to Krishna consciousness. Contributing or distributing the holy names of the Lord is a sublime example of contributing or giving charity, the Dadadi principle. By the same token, one must Pratigrinnadi. One must also follow the Pratigrinnadi principles and by willing and ready to receive the transcendental gift. One should inquire about the Krishna consciousness movement and open his mind in order to understand the situation of this material
World.
material world. Guhyam Akyadi Prachati principles can be served. The
Thank you.
members.
Thank you. So Prabhupada is talking about giving of the Mahamantra. He says not only is the chanter purified. So if I'm sharing the Mahamantra, I am also purified. The listener is also purified. Both are purified. So he says that is the best thing that you can give out to people, to chant the holy name and make them hear the holy name. Even lower species get purified simply by hearing the transcendental vibration. This was explained by Thakur Haridas when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from him about this, how the living entities who are lower than human beings can be delivered. And then Haridas Thakur said, when the holy name is chanted properly, it is so powerful that even animals and trees will advance in Krishna consciousness by hearing. Guhyam akhyati pritchati. You inquire confidentially. What is confidential inquiry? What is confidential? Inquiring confidentially. I have a problem which I cannot share with anyone. So I can talk about that problem with someone. That is confidential inquiry. Hmm? Did discuss about confidential subject matters, confidential pastimes. That's association is just for that. Confidential pastimes. What is confidential? Guhyam akhyati picture. Hmm? How do we
give and take the knowledge and relationship.
Guhyam akhyati? Why it is called Guhyam akhyati? Guhyam. What does Guhyam here mean?
We have some very deep inquiries about the process, transcendental process. So we one-to-one we ask it to a senior devotee. Is that
That's called Guhyam akhyati prichati.
I think so. It is that
Intimate
some very
past
deep
tense.
inquiries.
What intimate? Like you'll ask that devotee, what is your sarupa in the spiritual world? And the devotee will tell us such kind of discussion.
Intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna.
That's Goyamakhya Prichyate. What is Goyamakhya Prichyate?
Prasadam, distribute the prasadam, remnants of the food offered to the
That
Supreme.
is Goyamakhya Prichyate. Distribution of prasadam. That is Bhumte Bhojayate Cheva. Bhumte Bhojayate is prasadam. Distribute prasadam. Accept prasadam. What is Goyamakhya Prichyate?
So there are certain confidential topics in the scriptures, also Shastras, like Krishna also said, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, right? So which may not be discussed in public, or only to certain individuals. Uh, I mean, in public it can be controversial or thing like that. So maybe deeper inquiries that way, and as well certain instructions to advance in bhakti for ourselves, right, from the senior devotees, which cannot be discussed in public, or which cannot be discussed in a circle outside a close circle. Even like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also used to do Sankirtana with only close associates and everything. That was confidential.
Confidential.
Yeah.
Yes. So this word can have different meanings at different levels. Everything is correct. It can also mean discussion of some personal instructions for spiritual advancement. It can also mean confidential pastimes of Radha and Krishna. It can also mean esoteric subject matter. And in general, it means anything about Krishna consciousness. Because anything about Krishna consciousness is Guhya, no? It's Guhya. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Raj Vidya, Raj Guhyam. Which knowledge is he talking about? The subject matter of Bhagavad Gita, but he's calling the whole subject matter of Bhagavad Gita as Guhya Gyan. And then there is Guhya Tara Gyan. And then there is Guhya Tama Gyan. But the whole subject of Gita is Guhya Gyan. Isn't it? So basically, when it says Guhyam Akhyati Prichati, it basically boils down to, at a very basic level, any subject matter related to Krishna or Krishna consciousness. That is Guhyam Akhyati Prichati. That's what devotee association is about. Because sometimes uh, we are thinking like this. Devotee association, Guhyam Akhyati Prichati means catch a very senior Vaishnava and then ask some very confidential top question, and then that's Guhyam Akhyati. And other Vaishnavas who are just, walking across you, around you, or they are sitting next to you, with them, that what you do, that is not Guhyam Akhyati. But actually, any subject matter related to Krishna, it is Guhyam Akhyati Prichati. And it will enhance my relationship with the other devotee if it is done in the proper attitude, proper mood. Hmm. Sharing of Krishna Katha. It will make the relationship sweeter. Good. Hmm. And it can also be applied at a more deeper levels. Uh, But in general, it also means you share the message of Krishna consciousness, or you hear the message of Krishna consciousness. Guhyam, you inquire. You you may inquire about a very uh, elevated subject, or you may inquire about a basic subject. Like for example, Sanatan Goswami, when he met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what was his question? Ke ami? That was his question, right? Now, Ke ami is the question, who am I? Hmm? It's a very simple question. Who am I? So, was the conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sanatana Goswami not Guhyamakyati picture? It was. Sanatana Goswami did not straight away ask him, tell me the esoteric pastimes of Radha and Krishna. very basic question. Who am I? That was also Guhyamakyati Prichadi. And what conversation happened between Ramananda Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? That was also Guhyamakyati Prichadi. Both was Guhyamakyati Prichadi. Right? Inquiring confidentially. So here, when the word confidentially comes now, basically here, it's not just about something which I can't share with others. The word confidentially here basically also means you are putting a lot of trust on the other person that the other person is going to share the correct knowledge with you. Lot of trust is there. Confidential means the trust factor is there. I'm asking something with lot of trust that the other person is going to give me the right knowledge. Whether it can be a very basic question, who am I, or it can be a very esoteric subject matter of Radha Krishna Leela. But relationship means trust. And therefore, let me tell you something very interesting. In the present day Sangha, which we do in our society, called International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Sangha is a lot, but trust is very less. Sangha is a lot. We associate a lot, we hear a lot, we meet each other a lot, But that deep trust that the other person is my well-wisher, or I should be the well-wisher of the other person, that is not so much. That's not much. So it's basically of having that trust. Because if there is no trust, even if you inquire into esoteric subject matter, that cannot be called Guhyam Akhyati Prichati. So inquiring confidentially basically means putting trust. And trust happens only when there is heart-to-heart relationship, association. That bond is there. That is very, very essential. Trust factor. So that trust has to be developed. Trust should be developed. Okay. Next paragraph. Someone please read the next paragraph. Neha Mataji. Neha Mataji.
Oh, sorry, Prabhuji. The members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness invite the society's members and supporters to dine with them when they hold love feasts in all their branches every Sunday. Many interested people come to honor Prasad, and whenever possible, they invite members of the society to their homes and feed them sumptuously with Prasad. In this way, both the members of the society and the general public are benefited. People should give up the company of so-called yogis, jnanis, karmis, and philanthropists because their association can benefit no one. If one really wants to attain the goal of human life, he should associate with devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement because it is the only movement that teaches one how to develop love of God. Religion is the special function of human society, and it constitutes the distinction between human society and animal society. Animal society has no church, mosque, or religious system. In all parts of the world, however downtrodden human society may be, there is some system of religion. Even tribal aborigines in the jungles also have a system of religion. When a religious system develops and turns into love of God, it is successful. As stated in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.6, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Adhokshije Ahaituki Apratihata Yayatma Suprasidati. The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Next paragraph. Shamana Hariprada Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam Prabhu. If the members of human society actually want peace of mind, tranquility, and friendly relations between men and nations, they must follow the Krishna consciousness system of religion by which they can develop their dormant love for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As soon as people do so, their minds will immediately be filled with peace and tranquility. In this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura wants all devotees engaged in broadcasting the Krishna consciousness movement not to speak to the impersonalist Mayavadis who are always determined to oppose such theist movements. The world is full of Mayavadis and atheists, and the political parties of the world take advantage of Mayavada and other atheistic philosophies to promote materialism. Sometimes they even back a strong party to oppose the Krishna consciousness movement. The Mayavadis and other atheists do not want the Krishna consciousness movement to develop because it educates people in God consciousness. Such is the policy of the atheist. There is no benefit in feeding a snake milk and bananas because the snake will never be satisfied. On the contrary, by taking milk and bananas, the snake simply become more poisonous. Kevalam Vishavardhanam. If a snake is given milk to drink, its poison simply increases. For a similar reason, we should not disclose our minds to the serpent Mayavadis and Karmis. Such disclosures will never help. It is best to avoid association with them completely and never ask them about anything confidential because they cannot give good advice. Nor should we extend invitations to Mayavadis and atheists, nor accept their invitations. For by such intimate intermingling, we may become affected by their atheist mentality. Sanjayate kamaha. It is the negative injection of this verse that we should refrain from giving anything to or accepting anything from the Mayavadis and atheists. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also warned Vishaira Ana Kaile Dushta Haya Mana. By eating food prepared by worldly people, one's mind becomes weak. Unless one is very advanced, he is unable to utilize everyone's contribution to further the Krishna consciousness movement. Therefore, on principle, one should not accept charity from the Mayavadis or atheists. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has forbidden devotees to associate even with ordinary men who are too addicted to material sense gratification. The conclusion is, can I continue, Prabhu? The conclusion, thank you. The conclusion is that we should always keep company with devotees, observe the regulative devotional principles, follow in the footsteps of the acharyas, and full obedience carry out the order of the spiritual master. In this way, we shall be able to develop our devotional service and dormant Krishna. The devotee who is neither a Nipyot nor a Mahabhagavat, a greatly advanced devotee, but is within the middle status of devotional service, is expected to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead, make friends with the devotees, show favor to the ignorant, and reject the jealous and demonic. In this verse, there is brief mention of the process of making loving transactions with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. and making friends with the devotees. According to the Dadati principle, an advanced devotee is supposed to spend at least 50% of his income on the service of the Lord and his devotees. Srila Rupa Goswami has set such an example in his life. When he decided to retire, he distributed 50% of his life's earnings to service and 25% of his relatives and kept 25% for personal emergencies. This example should be followed by all the devotees. Whatever one's income, 50% should be spent on behalf of Krishna and his devotees, and this will fulfill the demands of Dadati. In the next verse, Srila Rupa Goswami informs us what kind of Vaishnava should be selected as a friend and how Vaishnavas should be served. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Krishna. So then there's a warning that we should not closely associate with Mayavadis or atheists, right? We should not closely associate with them. Huh. So Dadati Pratigrinadi Guhyam Akhyati Prichati Bhunte Bhojayate Chaiva. And then in Dadati, there is a principle of giving uh, monetary donation, right? So Prabhupada talks about 50% of one's income. Now, this is something which is very less understood by devotees. It's little, alarming to read or hear 50% of one's income. Because it's one may think it's how is it practically possible? 50% of my income I give. So what will be left for me then? Isn't it? It's quite alarming. So what is a good understanding of it is, as Maharaj writes in his study guide, which is his own contemplation. So he says that you see, the way people lived in the past is very different from the way people are living at present. How? Let us try to understand. When did the culture of renting a house started? When did this culture start? Renting a house. How old
60,
is
70, so 60,
how
70 years
old
ago.
how old is this culture?
Less than 100 years ago.
Mostly in the earlier times, people they had their own house. Mostly, you know, or they lived in a family house, big house where 4 or 5 families, the joint families living together. Correct, isn't it? So the rent culture has started, maybe you can say 100 years ago, just roughly we say 100 years ago. Huh? So earlier, when you had a monthly income or an annual income, did you spend a good amount of it on rent? No, isn't it? But now a huge part of the income goes for rent, correct? So if you compare from the past, the way income was seen and the present, the way income is seen is quite different. In the past, whatever income people had, they did not have overhead expenses so much as it is at present. So let's say the income is 50,000 per month. So they would hardly, spend money on renting or on education or on medical bills and things like that. Most of the income would become a saving. Most of it would become a saving, you know, most of it. And then that saving, okay, 50% given for Krishna consciousness. But at present, if you see a person living in a city, renting a house, sending the children to the school and all that, if that person is earning 50,000, 60,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, that person is spending considerable amount just for the basic needs, not a luxurious life, just for the basic needs. So what Maharaj says is now, which is very practical and which any devotee can do, and that devotee can then say, I also give 50% of my income to Srila Prabhupada. No. So what he says is that, let's say you are earning 1 lakh per month, 100,000. From that, you take away the rent. From that, you take away the education bills that you're paying for the kids. Okay. So you remove all these basic necessities from there, which are required. And then whatever is left with you, which you call as your saving. So he says, out of that, give 50% to Krishna consciousness. And then 50% you can keep for yourself, your family, the society, friends, future savings, whatever. So if one thinks in this way, then 50% of one's income becomes a practical instruction. Right? Still, it may not be easy for everyone to do that much, but still it becomes little practical. But otherwise, if even if you're earning 50,000 per month and then 50% of it will be 25,000, I don't think so that a devotee can practically do that. Not many can do that. Hardly some can do that, isn't it? So sometimes, we have to understand the instruction of the Acharya in the proper way. Otherwise, it may appear, why is Prabhupada giving such an impractical instruction? Isn't it too idealistic? 50% of the income? How is it possible? And honestly speaking, out of so many devotees in the movement, hardly there would be anyone who gives 50%. Hardly there would be anyone who gives 50%. Isn't it? Very difficult to do that. So how do we understand it? He says, take it from your savings. And from there, you can give 50% or 40% or 30% or 20%. So much for propagation of Krishna consciousness. And then he says 25%, which is for society. So he says that we can do use for others, devotee seva, Vaishnava seva. So 50% goes for preaching, 25% goes for Vaishnava seva, and 25% remains for personal family, oneself and the family, which is a very good model, nice model. Right. So this way Maharaj clarifies on this, and I liked this explanation of the instruction of 50% Lakshmi to be given for Krishna conscious preaching. So it is nice. Nice way of explaining. Okay, any questions or comments on this verse? And the purport. Yes, Paramgati Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, when the example of Srila Rupa Goswami is given that he donated 50%. So if you
No,
see
that
the
was his
past,
soul.
if you
That
see
was
the
his, right?
that was his retirement corpus actually.
Yeah,
That it was not his income as such. It was actually his savings,
his savings, correct.
the retirement savings. So I mean, when we say you have to give from the income, it actually is not from the income. Maybe Srila Prabhupada has written from the income because savings does not uh, sound like that. So I think in that sense also the explanation is congruent.
Yeah, it is true. But then if one doesn't know that pastime, then one will become little alarmed by the word income.
Yes.
One will think, okay, I earn 20,000 per month. How can I give 10,000? Not possible, right? So it basically means the saving. And the other way is also true, na? Like I explained. In those days, you did not have these expenses of renting a house, educating the child, you know. So mostly people, whatever, because it was, first of all, there was um, give and take system in the society as such that, okay, you take the grains and in return you teach the child or whatever. the barter system was there. So in that way also monetary dealings were not so much. And therefore, even in those days, if Prabhupada uses the word 50 income as basically whatever monetary gain you are making, then basically still it is possible. It was possible in those days. But at present, it's not. It is not. So it is 50% of the savings. That way, it's a very practical instruction as such, if you see. Not something which is an impractical ask by the Acharya. Uh, then, some devotees, they think this instruction we cannot follow. Grihasthas cannot follow this instruction. Prabhupada has given such an instruction which Grihasthas cannot follow. And that kind of understanding um, leads to some kind of then faithlessness. When our mind, the soul of the mind of a conditioned soul, begins to see impracticality in the instruction of the Acharya, that sense of seeing impracticality leads to sanshaya, doubt. And then the doubt becomes the soil for the cultivation of faithlessness. And then that's how slowly the strong faith which is there in the Acharya, it starts becoming diluted. Therefore, the instructions of the Acharya, the statements made by the Acharya have to be understood in the right manner, in the right perspective. Otherwise, there is, I don't know if you know it or you have seen it or heard it. Devotees sometimes laugh off at this instruction. 50%? 50%? As if, Prabhupada made a statement which is like, come on, Prabhupada, be practical now. So they have this kind of attitude. Now, is having such an attitude towards a statement made by the Acharya healthy for my spiritual life? No. No. You cannot make a joke on the statement made by an Acharya, isn't it? So sometimes we don't understand, that's why we then start thinking like that. And then it certainly makes our heart faithless towards the teachings given by the Acharya. So 50% is quite practical in that sense, very practical. It's like even if you're earning 20,000 per month, that's your salary, and 19,000 you spend on your basic needs, and you're saving only 1,000. So 50% of that 1,000 means only 500, which is very practical, no? On monthly basis. Very practical. Then it's not an instruction given by Srila Prabhupada which is impractical. Very practical. Mitra Vinda Seva Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, I have a question regarding the Dati Pratigranti. Like there are different activities going in the temple and around. And there are house programs also, and there are programs which are running in temple. So if one is going to Mangala Aarti and doing his all course and not attending the house programs, when I feel that I should give something, so I make something for the brahmacharis or for the Radha Madhav. But I avoid personally dealing in house programs. I don't know why. Means I don't feel comfortable. They're always having a fear of Vaishnava aparadh and or maybe some gossips involving in those things. So I more stick to the temple programs. So is that okay, or we should go to the house programs also? The way you told ki आपस में मतलब to exchange for have personal interactions या exchanges with the
No, no.
senior
So
Vaishnavas.
let me ask you this first. You mean to say you don't feel like going to house programs?
Yes, because Prabhuji, firstly it makes the day very hectic. Like I'm working also, and I always wish to
Fine.
attend Mangala Aarti.
Do you host house programs?
Yes, once a year.
Means you invite Vaishnavas to your house sometimes?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
But you don't feel like going to other
Yes,
programs, right?
yes, yes. Hanji.
That's okay. If you don't feel like there's no compulsion that you have to attend house programs, you can associate with devotees in the temple also. That is also fine. No problem, right? It's not a rule that you have to go to house programs. If you have such devotee friends whom you would like to visit, sit together, do some Hari Kirtan, Hari Katha, then that's okay. That's very nice. You can do that. If you don't feel like doing it, you don't have time to do it, then there's no such rule that you have to do it.
But
And
that
there is no, you see, there are two things. First of all, uh, there's a principle. Associate with devotees. Don't go out of devotee association. So that principle we have to know and follow. The second is intelligence. That principle is there. Now, should I just associate with devotees because it is told that you should do it, or should I intelligently associate with devotees? So, if there is a rule in the temple, every devotee should attend the house programs because it's everyone should do that. We are trying to make a healthy community, so house programs are compulsory to be attended. But then in the house programs, devotees just go do gossip, do prajalpa, do criticism of Vaishnavas, only honor prasadam and come back home. Then why go to such a house program?
yes, Prabhuji. But sometimes
So
it happens when two, three
you have
people
to look at
get
the
together.
principle. You have to look at the principle and the fulfillment of that principle. That's more important.
That won't be considered. मतलब मुझे भी ऐसा लग रहा है कि that may be considered as one way communication, because when I give something to brahmacharis, I never talk to them. I give it through somebody. मतलब there is never two-way communication in the way I am working with. I just want to listen. I go to temple. I want to listen, but there's no interaction actually. So I think that might be important. What I feel from this shloka when I was learning this then I got a little bit confused.
If you have something to ask, then you can ask. If you don't have anything
For
to
that,
ask,
I
you
have
don't
my
speak.
mentor. I asked to her, the mentor, who is my mentor. I just
It's okay,
talked
no.
to her.
That's all fine. It doesn't mean that if in the temple there are 100 devotees, you have to have a conversation. Talk.
Yes, that's I don't
Just
associate with
focus
the.
on that devotee. That is not required.
Means I am talking to my mentor, and बाकी सबका मुझे सुनना ही पसंद है. मतलब I don't talk to them much, so that is okay. ना I think मतलब that is a safer path.
There's nothing about being okay or not okay. That's what practically you have to do, no? Otherwise, how much time you have? You can't talk with everyone, isn't it? If you start talking to everyone morning 4 a.m., you'll start talking until night 10 p.m. You can continue talking. There'll be no end to talk.
Yes, प्रभु जी, हाँ जी, यही लगता है मुझे.
But at the same time, I hope you are not that kind of person who doesn't even say Hare Krishna to anyone. You just look at the face and then you go away. No, talking
Yes.
basically doesn't mean I should not greet anyone. I should not even say Hare Krishna to anyone. I just go and say Hare Krishna to my mentor and others. All I don't even, I show as if they don't even exist. If that is the attitude or that's the way you conduct yourself, that is not good.
नहीं प्रभु जी, that's my parents have always, बचपन से I'm going to temple, so they
हाँ,
have
तो
told
फिर
me कि
वो
हरे
that
कृष्णा
is
तो सबको
fine ना.
बोलना है. हाँ जी.
That is fine,
That
Mataji. Don't think too much that you have to talk to all, everyone, and all that. That is not practically possible. How is it possible? It's not possible. That's not possible. You talk to some people only, some devotees. A little bit
thank you.
communication is there, that is enough.
Hmm. Hare
Okay,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Satakumar. No, Prabhuji, I just wanted to take you into guidance in the sense when you are making some donation but your donation is spread to different temples and not that much to the local temple where you are visiting now. So is it okay, or you the major chunk should go to the local temple because you get connected by some other temple, maybe which is much further than your house, and then slowly later on you got connected to your local temple. But I feel that the goal is one, so it could go from any temple. Can you just guide me on this
And then
particular?
how you make donations, that's completely your personal choice. There are no rules on how you should donate and all that. It's your personal choice. Mhm. It's not that, okay, I'm connected to this temple, this center, so I should donate to this center only. I cannot donate anywhere else. It's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. You know, it's your choice. It's your choice. Whether you donate there, you donate little here, little somewhere else. It's your choice.
Yeah, you don't have to feel very, very responsible to your local temple. Though you though I'm giving some physical seva there, more physical to seva than my local temple.
No, no
So
problem with that.
no problem myself. Yeah. I thought maybe people say no, you have to be more responsible and more uh, donating more to the local
Yeah,
temple.
that is where people may say, but then people can say so many things. People
Mm-hmm.
can say so many things. So then you also have to use your intelligence.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, for example, um, let's say you have 20,000 rupees to donate, but then you feel this place where I am donating, they don't need 20,000, they just need 2,000. So why should I give 20,000 then? I'll give 2,000 here, the remaining 18,000 I can give to some other temple where they may need it or they may use it in some other way to serve Krishna. So because it is your Lakshmi which Krishna has given your care, you can decide your whatever way you want to decide, how you want to divide it and donate it anywhere. That's up to you. No one can say because you are connected to this temple, you have to donate major chunk here and then these are all useless things. I mean, you don't even have to disclose it to anyone, right? How much you are donating and what you are donating. That's your personal matter.
Yeah, but just general talk you have. So generally, wherever I feel, suppose it is Gita month or something. So wherever I feel, I just sort of. No, that's
Yeah,
a
no,
very good guidance you've given.
no
Where you
problem.
feel, and I think Krishna guides from within, which I have
Yeah, no problem.
ingrained in my heart. Yeah. Thank
Yes.
you very much, Prabhuji.
So
Thank you very much.
it is true because the local center is benefiting you in some way. You have a sense of responsibility towards the local center. So you should give little bit if it's possible for you. If you have benefited from that temple, you should contribute little bit uh, for the running of that temple, right? So that is something which you do out of a sense of responsibility, a social responsibility. But then if you have some extra and then you want to just donate it, then you can do it anywhere. No problem,
Jai Prabhu.
right?
Thank you so much.
Because
Thank you
you
very
see,
much.
think about it. If let's say this one principle only works, donate to the local, then how will the temple in Mayapur will ever be built? If everyone starts donating to the local only,
Yes.
isn't it? How will the temple in Mayapur be built? It cannot be built, no? Then. So there's nothing like that you donate to the local temple only.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Dandavat.
So we stop here. No more questions. See you in the next class. We'll do text 5 and 6 if possible in the next class.